Welcome to Pride House. This evening we have the absolute honour to have Dame Kelly Holmes with us today. My name is Nikki Symmons. I'm from Compete Proud, former international hockey player for Ireland, and here we are with Dame Kelly Holmes. So let's get going with the interview. Hi, so happy to have you here.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Thank
this
you
is
for
great.
getting here.
I know, we got here.
Paris is big.
Paris is really big, isn't it?
I
went
the
prime location.
Oh yeah, it's
fantastic.
Incredible. I went the wrong way today as well, so I think we're all here. We're happy we're here now finally, which is amazing. Kelly, I just wanted to start off obviously with your career. Amazing. Double Olympic champion, plus a bronze medal.
Yes, that's true.
And plenty of European medals, plenty of world champion medals as well, silvers, bronze. So can we just go into that a little bit more? I know it's been a long time.
A long
but
time.
You're still here. You're also doing an amazing job on TV, paving the way for the next generation, making sure that they, see what you can do.
Yeah.
No,
definitely. Yeah. So my career, medal-wise, started way back in '94 at the Commonwealth Games in Victoria. So that's where I won my first medal, and then I went on to European success, double world titles, and then throughout my whole career. So I've been to 3 Olympic Games. My first one actually was in Atlanta, and I ran with a stress fracture. And that wasn't great, but I still came fourth and I got pipped on the line.
Oh no!
By a tenth of a second, running with a stress fracture in the 800 metres.
Wow!
And that almost was something that then catapulted my mindset into, well, if I can do this, if I can come fourth in the world, at the Olympics, maybe I can do it. But I actually started, my Olympic dreams started when I was 14 years old, because I watched Sebastian Coe, who's now the IOC vice president, I think, or president of the IAAF, International Athletics Federation, and he was fantastic middle distance runner, one of the best in Great Britain, and he won an Olympic 1500 metres, and I was 14 watching at home.
Wow.
And I think it is that thing, is when you see something achievable, because he was from Great Britain, standing on the rostrum, the national anthem's playing and the flags flying and the medal, and it's like, that's what I want to do. I want to be that. And so that was sort of the dream. But it took me 20 years of dreaming and 12 years of trying.
You got there.
Yeah, so I got there in the end. But it was, it's a great career, but it was real highs and lows.
Yeah.
In sport, nothing ever is predicted or, doesn't just go on the periphery of up, does it? There's so many dips and turns.
And that's the thing we want to get into a little bit, because look, we're here. Yeah. Athletes are here. They've made it to the Olympic Games, but you've got all that behind, that effort, and we talk about it for our project as well.
Yeah.
It's not just at the Games; it's all the prep in between.
Yes.
So how did you prepare, and how did you do that? For 4 years, it's not a short time.
No, it's not, is it?
4 years.
It's a big decision for athletes to go, depending on where their career is, to that cycle again. Because if you're young now, a lot of Paris has been about the young generation winning medals galore. And so they're at the starting point of their career, and they could hope that they might get to another 2 or 3 Olympic Games. And so they don't really have in their head, I don't think, that, it's going to be another 4 years, because next year might be a World Championships or Europeans or Commonwealth Games or whatever it may be for their sport. So I think they go year by year. Whereas I came in, I was 26 at my first Olympic Games. So I'm always thinking, right, I'm going to be 30 at my second Olympic Games, because I knew, having come fourth at Atlanta and my dream to be Olympic champion, that I wasn't going to give up in that cycle. Then I was 30 at my next one, winning a bronze with only 6 weeks of running, because I'd got a 12 centimetre tear in my calf, and I still got bronze. So then in my head it's like, bronze is like gold right now, but it's not gold 3 weeks later. And you have to make those decisions. But the highs and lows are the whole, as you say, when you get to Olympic Games, people see very much a facial expression of the individuals and the team, right? Dynamic. The tears of happiness or devastation, or the joys of, just getting a personal best or getting further in the games than they've ever done before.
Exactly.
Or 1 goal extra that they didn't think they were going to get, or, or stand on the rostrum. And so I feel like, everybody just sees the end product. and they don't see the years and years of sacrifice.
Yeah.
And well, actually, I wouldn't necessarily sacrifice, because I think it's a choice we make
Yeah.
to be the athlete we want to be.
Definitely.
And you give up or you don't, right? Or you finish or you don't. You retire, you don't. But it's the whole grafting.
Yeah.
The team behind you, the coaches, the family members that see you go off and go around the world and don't come back for ages, or see the tears and see the really heartache.
Yeah.
You know, the tears you might see on the screen is nothing like the tears at home.
No.
When it's like, this is devastating.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's hard. I think it's really hard being an athlete, and I've only reflected on that now I've finished.
Yeah.
Because when you're in it, you just do it.
Yeah.
It's a career. It's a part of your lifestyle, and you think, well, I have to do it if I want to be good, so I have to keep going through it.
So that's what I love what you're saying there, because it touches on a lot of things we're going to talk about later, is the people around you.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't have that support, family, friends, you know, your friends can pull you.
Yeah.
Come on, let's go clubbing. Let's go, you know.
Can't they?
Or you've got a wedding, you have to go. Your family, you know, you've got those people around you. If they don't understand, you can easily be dragged off, and that's it. I've seen it happen to so many good athletes, good hockey players, like better hockey players than some who had the graft, you know, but they didn't have that extra bit.
Yeah.
So how'd you get that? And I want to go back on that, because you said 26, because you were in the military before, right?
Yes, exactly.
So this is why your career started a bit later?
So I was a junior international athlete. I won the Mini Youth Olympic Games when I was 17, but I was always wanted to be in the army since I was 14. So I joined the army a month before I was 18, and then pretty much sort of not give up on the dream, but it was, I'm going to get in the army. It's a career. It's what I want to do. And having watched the next Olympic Games when I was 22, 1992, Los Angeles Olympic Games.
We're going back there.
Was it Los Angeles then, 1992? Where was it? No, was it Barcelona?
Barcelona was 92,
yeah. So Los Angeles is the one I was inspired by. Ironically, that's next year. But so I watched those games, and I was in my barrack room in the army.
Yeah.
Now, a barrack room's just a room with your bed and your wardrobes, and I'm fully fledged soldier. And I'm watching the Olympic Games, watching a girl that I used to race against back in my hometown at these Olympic Games, thinking, that's what I want to do. I want to be
That could be me.
Yeah, so I sort of didn't really think necessarily I was going to get back into it, but because I was competing for the army and I was a physical training instructor, so my role in the army was to train soldiers who might go off to the front line in conflict. So I had to become a really strong female, both mentally and physically. And then I just happened to be entered into this national trials outside of the Olympic Games, won it, got qualified for my first World Championships in Stuttgart. And there
Won a medal.
No, not in that one, actually. I got in the semi-final, but the next year, because at that time in 93, all I was doing was running with weights and webbing and combats and boots.
Then you had nothing on.
Then I'm like, oh, right, there we go.
You're free.
Then the following year, I used to use my leave to go away and compete.
Wow.
Because I was so into being a career soldier that I was like, oh, I'll use my leave so no one says they're just giving me that
freebie.
And then I won the Commonwealth Games, and 2 weeks later, the European champs, silver medalist. I lost it by, a hair. And suddenly I'm catapulted into this world of athletics that I didn't really know.
Wow.
And then I was still thinking, but I want to be a soldier. So I stayed in the military. And the following year, I won 2 World Championship medals in the 800 and 15. And I'm still using my leave to go away and compete.
No way. That's
So when I got to my first Olympic Games, and I got this stress fracture, it's when I started to think, hold on a minute, I might be quite good here.
And you can't do 2 things. You need to be
If I can come
focused.
fourth in an Olympic final with a stress fracture, working full-time in the military, surely I can do this.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that was sort of the change, and leaving the military and then becoming a full-time athlete.
But I love that. I love the fact that you had something else, because so
I
often...
think it's actually quite important.
Yeah. And I want to get into that a bit, because I was the same, right? Okay, hockey's not professional, but I trained like a professional, but I had a job. And as much as it killed me, because I was like, I just want to be an athlete, I think actually it's a good thing, because I wouldn't be where I am now. I wouldn't have had that degree. I wouldn't have had, the job. I wouldn't be where I am at all now if I had just focused on that. So can we talk a little bit about that and how important it is to have something else? Also, when we get further into like coming out story and all of that, like having something else to help, not just be that one thing.
And I must come back to your question about the support as well. So I think depending on the stage of an athlete's career, sports person's career, will determine whether they're going to be full-time and what other support they've got to be able to be full-time, you know, because the funding's not always there in every sport. Then you need all your nutritionists, your psychologist, you know, the sport
it changes every 4
massive,
years as
right?
well, right? Yeah.
You know, it's become massive. So I valued having something else at that age, because when I wasn't doing the athletics part, I was able to go back and just be normal as such. And for me, that was a great grounding and leveler, because I think it was so hard to try and be like the best in the world with no support back then, that we didn't have funding or anything. So I think depending on the sport, I think that's still an issue to this day, and depending on where you're from and what country you're from, the level of support is critical in terms of financial support, because if you can't afford to give up your job and you put everything into your sport and the sport doesn't go the way that you want, what have you left?
You're done.
You've got nothing to fall back on. And so I do think it's really positive, especially for the younger generation, to still have something else. Still keep either, even if it's an online courses going, or even if it's a attachment to something that you really love as well, and you know that one day in the future that's what you want to do or be. Because I do think that keeps a lot of sports people, especially with their mental health, sort of a bit more grounded, because I think you can be all or nothing. And for some people, we all know, right, very few people keep making it right to the top. You can only ever have one medalist in every single sport across the board, and then you go down, 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 down. And it's not about the fact that the gold medalist is better than the people that are in the team. It's just that they got their lucky break at that time, let's face it. But all the medalists will always have something else. They'll get you know, some reward back. Someone that came fourth by the smallest whisper might have nothing, but they've given up their same time, same dedication, same commitment to their career. And so it's just knowing that sport's not a guarantee for your future. So I think it's important to have that grounding.
You just remind me back, we were talking to Daniela earlier about London. So we got to the final of the qualifiers.
Yes.
We lost in the final of the qualifiers after winning 6 games, and then you have the final and you lose. So it's so marginal that I could have been an Olympian. Like, that's so close. And you've done the same work as an Olympic, and I couldn't even watch the games. I had to go disappear to America. I was like, I can't watch it.
No, you can't. And I don't blame you, because it's gutting. You put everything, so and you just, you know, you feel it. You feel like that's where you're going to be. Your hope
you see it in your head.
High. And then when you don't. But I think that's the thing, right? How many of us have not won?
Exactly.
I mean, I lost so many. People remember my 2 gold medals. They don't remember the other 11 medals I got around the world, because it's Olympic Games. It gets put on the pedestal. But, you know, some of my other championships were more rewarding because I came back off of really bad injuries.
Exactly.
Like, to fight, to get there and not give up is like, that shows your strength of character.
And nobody knows that.
And nobody
or
knows.
how many times you could have given up.
So many times,
screw
right?
this, I'm done. I'm going back to the army.
Especially being the age I was, like, really? I still got to keep going for another 4 years.
So let's bring it back to the support.
Yes.
As an athlete, support around you.
Yeah.
How much did that mean to you, and how much did that how much did that help you to get to where you are?
Yeah, I think it is the people behind you, because a lot of sports people, as you know, start from grassroots. You know, they're starting at a local club, and, you know, and from athletics point of view, it's normally a local coach that's passionate about helping young talent.
They see something in you.
They just see something and they want to grow you. And, you know, as you get further and further in your career, of course, you have a lot of other people that start to come into the mix. And it could be agents or managers or other coaches that they push you to. And the thing is, I think that it's the people at home that are the ones that pick you up on the down days. It's the fans that keep you up on the good, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But the fans aren't with you all the time.
No.
They're not with you when you go back home. You fly back home and you
Or if you lose.
or if you lose. So it is really vital, and we all know support from anybody is so vital. And people that don't have it, I think, because you can break up relationships, can be broken up because it's so intense in sport. If people don't get it, there could be a lot of jealousy through friendship groups. Who 1 minute they knew you as just their mate, and the next minute you're a superstar, and they think you've changed, but you've only changed because you've had to mould into what people are expecting of you. And so many people fall through the wayside of that, and that's really harsh because the person trying to be successful just want to be the best they can be. You don't always think of relating it back to, oh yeah, my mate at home, because you're a different person, you're a different personality, you're a different attitude, because you have to be. They're not world best or want to be at Olympic Games. You do.
They don't understand.
Right? They don't understand. So you do need to find people around you who, when you're on the way up, they're wearing behind you and pushing you and lighting the fire for you. And when they come down, they don't dampen it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's amazing. And then, okay, we're going to jump a little bit because you came out in 2022. 2 years ago.
Oh my God.
Kelly.
2 years ago.
Let's talk about that, because it's back to support again, right? And what we're doing here, Pride House, Compete Proud, is if an athlete doesn't have that support around them, how can we be that support? To talk to them, to help them, to, even if they don't come out publicly, just to be there. So they don't feel like they're going to lose their sponsors. We're going to go deeper into that. Lose their sponsors, lose their IF, the International Federation support, all of that. So again, back to support. What can I ask you? What happened? Why did you not feel comfortable? What were those fears that you had?
The first person I knew had my back was my stepdad. He brought me up since I was 5, and he was the first person I told I was gay. And the reason was I joined the army a month before I was 18. I didn't know I was gay at the time because I was a young athlete. I just was me, you know what I mean? I just didn't know. And there was a law in the military where it was against the law to be gay. So the consequences of that law were people would lose their jobs, be court-martialed, jailed, sent home to tell their families. People that served for a long time, long service medals stripped off them. 15 years as a long service medal. This went from every rank right up to the top ranks. There was witch hunting going on in the military to purposely get people caught out, whatever that would mean to them. So when I realised I was gay, because I met a girl in basic training, again, I didn't know, I was just like, oh yeah, it's comfortable. No, she's nice.
It's cool.
It's cool. I was very aware about then this law, because of course I thought, oh, there's this thing going on. So in that circumstance, so many people you get to find out because it's a unspoken word and language, right? You just get to know somebody is. It's just a vibe. Then, everybody starts to think, oh yeah, you get your little groups and you get that protection. So anyway, so I was in the military for nearly 10 years, but when I was 22, I had what's called a raid. So a raid is when the military police come into your quarters, basically ripping everything apart like a burglar would if you went home. Ripping everything apart, but they're there with you and they're in your face, vilifying and trying to get you to admit that you're gay. Literally. And the consequences are that you'll get chucked out or maybe jailed or whatever. So you try and do that. But I had that at 22 when I was
somebody had asked or said
somebody had come into our barracks. And went through our block. And it was a all women's block. And somebody came through. So there was obviously either a tip-off or at the time, back in 93, it was a witch hunt, because now I know a lot more about what's happened because I've been able to be part of some reviews. There's a witch hunt. Over 300 service personnel were chucked out that year alone. Right, so what that did as a 22-year-old was instill an ultimate fear in me. Fear of losing my job, fear of being exposed. No one talked about being gay then, and certainly not in the army. Having left the army in 97, the ban only got lifted in 2000. So when I left the army, I was still in fear of the consequences of admitting I was gay. At that time, I was now a multi-medalist. I was world number 1 in 97. I was multi-medalist. And nobody that I knew of was openly gay. Didn't know. I didn't even see. I there's nothing, not even a whisper about it in
No.
sport.
No.
So I had two complexities. One, sport wasn't visibly open, and two, I had a hangover from the army.
Yeah.
What if I could still be done,
Yeah.
you know? And so when I won my 2 gold medals, I still had this whole thing of, well, what if somebody finds out? Can I still be in trouble with the military? I just really had this
Wow.
fear that was what was embedded in me. And then being a world-class athlete and being very public in the UK, back in 2004, it wasn't like it is now, where diversity inclusion is a topic of conversation and change. There was just nothing.
Yeah.
And maybe because I was so blinkered to it, I didn't see what there was. So basically, it caused me a lot of mental health problems through my military, both my sporting career and my retirement. And I think the impact of that got to me so much. But in 2022, I had no choice to actually decide to come out, to release that pressure in me of worry of what people think. Because I thought that if I admitted it, they would judge everything that I've done. My whole career.
Yeah.
No, I was made ordained by the Queen. I got my member of the British Army for services to the army, believe it or not. You know, I multi-award winner, just everything. And I just thought, if I admit it, will people just almost like tell me I'm not worth anything? And
Erase your history.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought
Wow.
people would just say, she's not what we thought she was and we don't care anymore. And I didn't want to risk that. But then my mental health got that bad that I had a choice, you know. I literally got to a point in life where I thought, what's the point of being here if I'm not living who I want to be? And I got to a night where, I don't need to go into that, but I had to make a really big choice. And for some reason, the strength of wanting to still be here is why I'm still here. So the fact is that it took a long journey to get there, but now 2 years later, I'm always up for part.
Here you are.
I'm now living my 18-year-old youth. So now I feel...
You're Benjamin Button.
I feel I can live from 18 to 32, and I've got all of that to make up for.
Oh, that's... Well, look, you can see I have tears in my eyes listening to that story. I didn't know this whole part, so thank you for being so open and telling the story, because it's incredible and
and it's why I want to be vocal now. It's why I want to support campaigns. It's why I want to normalise conversation and humanise people about being able to live their authentic self because of the detrimental effects that happens if they don't.
Incredible story. And I think, well, for me as well, just talking about London, we talked about London for me. My ego has almost disappeared. Almost. It's still there a little bit sometimes, but 12 years later, I'm like, okay, it's bigger than me.
Yeah.
This is about, I came out publicly on TV 2014.
Right.
But I was out to my friends and family. Hockey's a very open sport. And I'm about...
How did you find it?
10 years younger than you, from 42. So hockey was fine. I mean, I still had friends that I lost or just were saying stupid things. And I'm like, whatever. But I found my people. And we talked about this earlier. Like, that's an advice would be to try and find your people that you can then be like, hey, like you have now, I think. And you're like, these are my people, my comfortable people. If someone has something to say, they protect me.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
I think I found that, and then I was like, okay, whatever, whoever, any friends fall apart, fall away, that's fine.
Yeah.
But when it came to I was retiring from hockey, and I thought, you know what, now people know my name, not as big as you, obviously, but still, people know my name in sport,
exactly.
and now's the time. So I did a TV interview, and I just said, this is me.
Yeah.
And still, people, every time I repost it or I share it, because on an anniversary of when it is,
of course,
they're like, like I get a message saying you helped me so
Brilliant.
much.
Yeah.
And this is the thing, right, Kelly? It's like, if you can help just one person, this is a win, right?
Yeah.
And one person who felt like you know, you don't want anyone to feel like that.
No, I think it's important, because the thing is, the more we tell our stories, the more somebody might just listen and think, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to feel that in my life. I don't want to not live my life freely and authentically. And these people have done it and they've had the courage. So why can't I? Because actually the other side of that fear is actually great, right?
Exactly.
And that's the thing that people have to realise, is the fear is so debilitating because you're so worried of the apprehension of everything. But the people will stick around you that mean something, that matter. Going back to that support.
Exactly.
Those others that you don't need them.
You don't need them.
Because why were they with you in the first place if they... Why were they part of your friendship?
They were in for something else. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Exactly. So the one thing we can go touch on there is a bit more about the support, your close support, but then you have the international federations, you have the national associations, you have the IOC, you have sponsors. How do we get them on board? Because they're the ones, and we spoke earlier before here, doesn't matter if the person doesn't want to come out publicly, but they should know that you have their back and you're not going to lose your sponsor. How do we do that?
Yeah, well, this is the thing, isn't it? I mean, I'm just so pleased to be here with you guys now, and you say like 190 odd athletes are openly out, because in my head I'm thinking, blimey, this is like incredible. Look, the fact that you're doing this is brilliant. You know, it's so good, and you're connecting with those governing bodies and IOC, and that Pride House exists, you know, and you're part of it. I think is brilliant. I think that with the governing bodies, obviously there's some complexities around the world, so we know that, but the surefire wins have got to be where in that country it's accepted to be who you want to be, right? It's not illegal, it's accepted. So you think that the percentage of athletes that are likely to be wanting to live their life authentically, especially in sport, not being funny, because sometimes it takes roughly and toughly to get in there doing it, innit? Like, why don't you adopt that same principle in your sport and say, we are also welcoming, we are also inclusive and diverse, and these are our policies. Be open with your policies about diversity and inclusion, but also have, I think they need a liaison officer or something, like somebody specifically, I don't know what they would call it, but, you know, somebody who, that is your point of contact when you're on a team, who has the contact with the likes of your organisation and Pride, who, if they need an athlete to go and speak to them, it's all totally, you know, also private. And that person on the team is assigned to be that, and you can speak to them at any time, and they will then link you to the likes of your organisation and the Pride House. Because I didn't even know that Pride House existed. But it was only, I've been retired, well, my games was 20 years ago, so 4 years before, obviously. But if it's been going for 24 years, if I was to ask how many people, it might not be that it's not brilliant what they do, it might be that the message isn't getting out to where it needs to get, right? Yeah. So I think that connection should be part of a process, so every national governing body should absolutely have a connection with this. Yeah. And they put it into their handbook. You know, the athletes get the handbook. They put it in. Yeah, it's so easy. Just add it in there. Yeah. Just make it part of your policy. Because the thing is, I think that athletes that are so afraid or still worried do not get the best out of themselves 100%. Right? I know.
I wanted to bring that back to you, actually. Do you think...
I mean, I had multiple
You had
medals.
much more in you.
I had multiple medals at nearly every champs I went. I got injured and ill so much. Why? Because as much as I was training hard, I was doing it because for me, that was then my identity. I needed to prove that I was that person. Yeah. Nobody had to ask me any other questions as long as I was good in sport. So I'll be pushing myself way beyond what I probably should have. I didn't ever have the well-being time. I didn't ever think, hold on a minute, look, why are you pushing so hard? What is it that you're trying to achieve here more than just success? You know, illnesses because you're stressed, you're anxious. That affects a person anyway in life. In sport, when you're pushing your body to that nth degree and you coupled with the stress, anxiety, worries, of course you're never going to get the best. I think that I could have been multiple gold medalists, and that's not being big-headed. If I won silver medals after being ill with glandular fever, tonsil, like everything, I just had everything in 7 years of injuries in 12 years of competing. Wow. I had ruptured calves, torn Achilles, stress fractures, reoperation. I had everything. Constant, because I was just breaking down, because I'd go and think, right, this is my saviour, because I've got to have this career, because who am I after that?
But also, you said you took your leave from military to train, so you weren't even getting a holiday.
Yeah,
you know,
wasn't even getting
because
a break
it was
back then.
Feel like listening to it, you were escaping.
Yeah,
right. You were like, this is my escape.
Yeah. And I wasn't getting a holiday because I was full time in the military. So
no
as soon
rest.
as I finished athletics, I'm back working.
And you weren't exactly sitting at a desk.
No, exactly. I wasn't twiddling my thumbs at any means or anywhere, you know. And I wasn't just standing there shouting at them.
No, you were doing this. You were showing them how to do it.
I'm jumping over those 12-foot walls and scramble under these scramble nets and swinging off of ropes.
Oh wow! Which brings me. I had a question about that as well, like how much that training obviously brought you.
It did help as well.
Yeah, helped as well, obviously.
Maybe a really strong woman. It may be very strong.
But also maybe more injuries came.
Actually, when I was first in the army and I was full time in the army, the injuries didn't come as much until I became a full-time athlete, because then I'm working with a coach and I'm running lots more than I was in the army. Mm-hmm. So I was doing lots of, physical training to become really strong, because you're climbing ropes, you're lifting, carrying weapons. Mm-hmm. So your body is in all forms, directions, planes, and humping and pulling. And then obviously running on top of that. As soon as I left the army and became a full-time athlete,
you broke down.
I started breaking down.
Maybe that was the
something for that. Yeah, maybe it was that. It was nothing.
Don't be a full-time athlete.
No, but it was also, I think, the worry of getting found out in the army. So I say, I wasn't even running as a senior athlete when I got raised in 22. Yeah. So straight away, now I've got this fear of exposure. Mm-hmm. So you go in a sport that actually gives you exposure, but then you're thinking, I only want to show myself enough. Yeah. Didn't show my personality, didn't care about what I looked like, hid. You know what I mean? I really did. Yeah. I was very shy when I was an athlete, because I was always
you're completely different.
Yeah, I am. I still am shy. I'm just confident in who I am with this. But
that's the point it shows, right?
Yeah,
you were hiding.
I look back on so many interviews, and now people know what was going on. They look back and they go, "Oh my God, you can see it."
Nobody spotted it.
You can see it in photos. You can see it in interviews. Like, I even saw my interview at 34 winning gold medals, and I think, I'm like this meek little thing.
Yeah.
You see them now, like Keely Hodgkinson just won 800 metres. She's like confident as anything. And I'm thinking, oh my God, when I was 22, I was this sort of shy.
Yeah, but you had other things going on.
It's mad, isn't it, though? But that's the thing. People don't express themselves enough. They don't show their personality. Don't show their true colours, who they are. Why can't they? Can you imagine the flair and the energy and the... I don't know, like the personalities that would come out in sport and in teams, if people could just literally be who they want to be. Surely that's what we want. We want to see personalities, people being happy and vibrant and achieving.
Yeah, exactly. But it's the same in life, right? I work in the corporate world now. It's like the same. Like, why you have to be this certain way. And it's like a systematic problem that we have to be this certain way. We can't be ourselves. Yeah. Because a lot of people don't understand that. If you're 100% yourself, you are the best. But a lot of people don't understand that. They think you have to be. You go to work. So many people. You know, people who do this. They go to work or they go to their thing and they're a completely different person.
Yeah. All the time. I work in the corporate sector now. Yeah. I've been a public speaker around the world for 16 odd years now. And it's only really, I'd say the last 3-4 years that they've been now focusing more on diversity and inclusion in the workplace. Yeah. And now, because I didn't talk about it before 2 years, even though I was a public speaker, I had enough other things to talk about. I mean, Jesus Christ. Oh, sorry. I mean, I did. But now... I love it. When they get me in to talk about diversity and inclusion, I don't hold back.
You bring it all.
Yeah, I do. Because I want them to hear. I play a video of me winning 2 gold medals in Athens. They're cheering still 20 years on. Because, they're thinking, oh my God.
It's amazing.
We go in the room. And then I hit them with my story. Yeah. And they start crying. Mm-hmm. And I say, if you were one of them cheering here, and I've now told you who I am and me, if you now thinking different of me, you've got an issue. Go and sort it out, because it's not mine. Yeah. And the power of being able to have your authenticity and to own yourself is life-changing.
Incredible. So There you go. There's your message to the corporate world.
Exactly.
Come and listen to my story.
Listen to the story.
Invite me there. Listen to the story. No, but in general, just like literally, I love the way you said that. It's a human. You said at the start, it's like a human story, and we forget that so often, right? Even the Olympics. Think they're Olympians, but they're humans. They're human being. Like, you come and watch them lose, and you think, oh, they're not. They're not great. They're not good. I'm like, no, come on. They've had years of training, and they've got to that point.
And anything just goes wrong. Again, the game. Some people have their lucky game.
Yeah, exactly.
Because winning at Olympic Games, yes, it's all the hard work, but everyone's done that.
Exactly.
It's been your lucky day.
Exactly.
To get it.
I have one more question, because I think we're going on very long. But it's been a great conversation, and I am so happy that you're here.
Thank you.
What advice could you give to someone who's struggling right now?
Well, you've got to surround yourself with people that love you just for you, and you've got to have the ability and confidence for them to realise what that means. And then, loving me means loving all of me, and I need to be me to be successful, or who I am. So having that confidence to trust those people around you first of all, and then also we are in a position, like you say, now this is here, try and find out as well from others, or question your governing bodies. And say, look, I really need to go somewhere where I feel safe, or I feel included, or I just want to have fun, or whatever. And do you know of anywhere? Because the more they come out openly questioning their governing bodies to find out, the more they realise that they've got part as part of their policy. Because, we have got some fantastic young people out there at the moment who are living their authentic and true life and, thriving from it. There's still a separation, and people that aren't yet out who find it difficult in sport to think, how can I now at this stage of my career? But you want everybody to be seen, to have visibility, and to be happy, right?
Absolutely.
So I think it's about conversation, and those that do feel empowered by who they are and not scared, keep talking about it. Keep showing up. Keep questioning, keep pushing the boundaries, keep saying, why can't I? Why aren't you letting me? Why isn't it being seen? Because you're the people that will change it for everybody.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Kelly.
It's been amazing.